Hi everyone, Rick Russell here. Stand by for channel markers. When Archerfish returned to its base at Guam on December 15, 1944, what the boat's skipper claimed was hard to believe. He claimed sinking a Yamato-class aircraft carrier that naval intelligence said didn't exist. The unlikely hero in this tale was Commander Joe Enright. It was Enright who had made the first patrol in days and then asked to be relieved because he had no confidence in himself. Choosing a desk over a boat in the highly competitive submarine service during wartime was not exactly career-enhancing. The Navy's codebreakers, believing they knew the existence of every remaining enemy carrier, were skeptical, casting doubt on his claim. It was a hard year for the submarine service. More boats were lost in 1944 than in any other year. Nonetheless, it's also true that more boats than ever were on patrol. Following the German example, many were operating in wolf packs. Whether cruising together or alone, they savaged Japanese shipping and had become increasingly aggressive in their search for more targets. They finished November 1944 with a flourish. 2 wolf packs attacked a convoy carrying aircraft and infantry from Manchuria meant to reinforce the Philippines. Among the 8 ships destroyed, a carrier, an aircraft ferry, and a troop transport went down. Spadefish sank the small carrier, which was Shinano, on the night of November 17th. As the ship sank, her killers watched with grim satisfaction as aircraft tumbled off the flight deck and into the water. 4 days later, about 150 miles away, at the northern entrance to the Formosa Strait, Sea Lion sank veteran battleship Congo, as well as an escorting destroyer with a spread of slow, electric torpedoes fired at extreme range. The destroyer deliberately intercepted some of them, exploding violently, just like in the movies, but 3 hit Congo. She has supported the attacks on Pearl Harbor and Midway, fought at Guadalcanal, and was recently in the thick of the fighting at Samar. But the biggest blow is yet to come. On November 18th, the Imperial Navy hurriedly commissioned Shinano. The ship had been laid down as the 3rd Yamato-class battleship in 1940 after Yamato and Musashi. 2 years later, following the catastrophe at Midway, when 4 major carriers were lost, the Navy decided to convert her into an aircraft carrier. She was mostly finished and capable of getting underway, but much of the normal fitting out, even down to equipping the ship with fire pumps, was incomplete. Within days, on November 24th and 27th, more than 100 B-29s flying from Tinian for the first time attacked Tokyo. They targeted an aircraft factory, dockyards, and urban areas. The raids did little damage, but anticipating trouble, Imperial Naval Headquarters decided to move Shinano from Tokyo Bay to the much safer waters of the Inland Sea. We note that the ship's existence had in fact been captured in a photograph taken by a B-29. Captain Toshio Abe, who is in command, got underway on Tuesday the 28th. The corners being cut are too many to list. Operating off Tokyo Bay, the Vallejo-class submarines Scabbardfish and Archerfish had served as lifeguards for the B-29s. When they resumed anti-shipping patrols, Scabbardfish immediately sank a submarine, the 1,500-ton I-365, on the 28th. That same evening, on board Archerfish, at 20:48, the radar operator reported a pip at 24,700 yards. Within the hour, Enright knew he had a carrier heading south at 20 knots. He went to flank speed and set an intercept course. Racing to achieve a firing solution, only the carrier's zigzagging allowed him to close the range. Incredibly, 6 hours into the chase, at 0300 on the 29th, the carrier changed course, turning directly toward Archerfish. Enright took her down and prepared to attack. At 0316, at a range of 1,500 yards, Enright fired 4 torpedoes from his bow tubes, then checked fire and fired 2 more from the stern. Enright only needed to wait 47 seconds. Watching from the periscope, he saw and heard the first torpedo strike, observing a large ball of fire climbing the carrier's side. The next torpedo hit about 50 yards forward of the first. As a nearby destroyer sent Archerfish deep, the crew heard 4 more explosions, suggesting all 6 fish had hit, but post-war records indicate 4 torpedoes struck the carrier. While enduring a feeble counterattack consisting of 14 depth charges, None dropped closer than 300 yards. Sonar reported what sounded like breaking up noises. On board Shinano, Captain Abe, who was aware of the massive punishment Musashi had absorbed before sinking at Leyte Gulf, was not overly concerned. We don't know much about Abe, but his attitude is questionable because the difference between a buttoned-down, combat-ready Musashi and his own ship's lack of watertight integrity, combat preparedness, and training, especially in damage control, seems not to have occurred to him. His ship didn't even have all her watertight doors. Of those in place, some leaked. He still might have saved the ship by grounding her, but instead plowed ahead. At 0610, Archerfish surfaced. Shinano was gone. Enright was convinced the carrier had gone down on the spot. In fact, on board the carrier, now miles away, Abe's green crew and embarked yard workers were fighting a brave but losing battle against flooding. By dawn, it was evident even to Abe she was doomed. At 10:18, he ordered abandoned ship. Shinano lingered for another 30 minutes, then went down, taking 500 of the yard workers and crew, including Abe, with her. 2 weeks later, back at Guam, not everyone in the submarine force was buying what Enright was selling. The initial reaction was that at best it had sunk a cruiser. Enright drew a picture of the carrier, which his division commander submitted to Rear Admiral Babe Brown, who at the time was acting as the Navy's overall submarine commander while Admiral Lockwood was away. Brown gave him official credit for sinking a 28,000-ton carrier. All was well, it seemed, except Enright had in fact sunk the largest ship ever sunk by a submarine. The full story of Shinano's secret conversion was not revealed, however, until after the war. When it finally came out, the tonnage of Shinano was changed to 71,000, then later reduced to 59,200, which by itself was still good enough for 25th place on the leaderboard for total tonnage sunk by a U.S. submarine. Archerfish, SS-311, received a Presidential Unit Citation, and Joe Enright, who had made the best of an extremely rare second chance, received the Navy Cross. That's all for this channel marker. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment or recommend another subject below. As always, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.